So this is what we're trying to accomplish here. And if I go and we want to look at, let's go into layers here. Let me just throw in a fill layer and mask color collection pick. So you can see this gray right here is all just basically a mask I can select so we can paint through it. You can do this in a texture, and it might even actually be better and less destructive, but I'll show you how to do it in ZBrush. So we have this shirt. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this shirt off. And if we hold down Control Shift, what we're going to do is we're going to drop down to subdivision level 1. And then we're going to delete higher because we don't want any subdivision history. We're going to solo mode here. I'm going to isolate this one. We're going to hit delete hidden. Now you want nice even quads. So at this point, if you do need to, just like we talked about before, you can do like same zero mesh depth size down to 0, and you'll get nice even quads along here, because what we're going to be doing is replacing every single face with a fishnet. If you want tinier fishnets, you can subdivide it up once, or when you're just making this, you can go to subdivision level 2, delete higher, delete lower, isolate this one, hit delete hidden. You can also dial in your zero mesher target polygon count, and you can kind of play with the square size this way. So let's say we wanted to make tinier squares. We'll just make this, and you know what? We can say half, and we can drop the size. The squares are a little bit bigger. We'll stick with this. So anyway, we want to put fishnets on here in ZBrush. So what I'm going to do, there's a couple different methods, and in fact, if you go to my YouTube channel, and again, just like we did for armor, just do a search in here for my channel. If you do a search up here, you're going to go to get everybody's. If you do a search in here for my playlists or my videos, it'll give you armor. So let's go ahead and we're going to go to a plane 3D here, and you can go down here to initialize and do whatever you need to do. I like to go make polymesh 3D and then just reconstruct to get this down to like a nothing mesh here. I'm trying to remember, you know what, let's reconstruct this all the way down. I'm going to embarrass myself. I have a video on this and I'm not exactly sure. Let's not go all down all the way. Let's delete higher. So now what we want to do is we want to get we'll do an inset. So we'll do inset polygroup all region, and now we can just pull in thickness here, and then we can just do like a delete all our polygroup all, and we can just delete those. But actually, now that I think about it, what we want to do is we want to go in here to insert single edge loop. That's hit X to go across X symmetry. I'm going to insert an edge loop along here, and let's also do under transform. Let's do X and Y symmetry so we can do both top and bottom. And now we can go through here, we can hold down Alt and mark these, and we can delete polygroup all. And then this one up here, we're going to say delete point. And then there is the shape we're kind of looking for. If it's going to be wrapping around a soft surface, you're probably going to want to put more divisions on here. So I'm going to do an insert single edge loop, hold down Alt, and then we'll hover over this edge and we'll go insert multiple edge loops, and then we can just add resolution as you can just tap here to get that same resolution. Hit Control W, make it all one polygroup here. Hold down Shift, and I'll make this 45 degrees, and then this is going to be our nano mesh. You can go to your brush and say create insert mesh out of this, and then create a nano mesh brush out of that. Another thing you can do is just let this sit here, and then when we go back to our shirt here, we can use our Z modeler brush BZM. Hover over a face, we're going to go to Insert Nanomesh Polygroup All, hit the M as in Michael Pavlovich key, and then just throw that in there. So that'll replace that. So now when we do an Insert Nanomesh on Polygroup All, we can just drag that out. And then now we can go down here to our Nanomesh Properties, and we can say, I want it to be size of 1, and I want it to fill that entire square. When I rotated it, it should, let's see, Z offset, we'll put that at 0, and then let's see if, Z rotation, put that at 0 as well. So now it's going to fill the entire square, and it's also going to be fishnet shaped. So at that point, there's a couple things we can do. We can go down here to inventory 1 to mesh, or we can go up here to geometry, convert BPR to geo, and that'll convert this geometry to its own geo. Hold down Control Shift to isolate the shirt, and then with that isolated, or hidden, we're going to go down here to split hidden. So now we have our fishnets on here. Like I mentioned before, if we want, you can see if we hide this low res shirt here, we can see how the fishnets aren't really conforming to the shape. While we do have, because we put in resolution along here, that'll allow us to snap more vertices along these long edges. If you didn't have those in there, it would just be like vertex, vertex, and then it would just snap those vertices, not anything along between them. You'd have to subdivide first. But before we snap those, if you hold down Shift, you're going to see these points here. Oh, it's gonna make a liar out of me. Let's go to polish. You can go to deformations polish or polish by features in this case, and you're gonna see those points aren't welded. So I'm gonna go to geometry, modify topology, weld points. The weld distance of 1 should work. If you want to, you can crank that up, but then you're going to start grabbing extra vertices, so probably weld distance of 1 is fine. Those are pretty close. Those points are pretty close together. So now if I run a polish by features, those points should be sticking together a little bit better than that. Let's do a weld distance of like 7. There we go. And now let's do uncrease all, because I think it does have some automatic creasing. And you know what? I'll just do a deformation polish. Boy, that polish is a bunch. Weld points, polish by features, closed circle. There we go. So now everything's nice and welded together. So at this point, and again, we did very tiny fishnets. You could do, if you want to make thicker fishnets, there's a couple, you can do that just by inflating, but also on your source art, make sure that when you put in your these edges, you can make it thicker on the edges or thinner, however you want to do that. So anyway, and this is where it gets kind of destructive. You could also do UVs on the shirt like we did with the pants, and then put a, like we did with the weave. You could do a scales pattern or whatever you want. And also in Substance Painter, you could just tile this texture through. So a lot of different ways to do this. I just figured we'd talk about the ZBrush way, or one ZBrush way. So now that we have those, if I hold down Shift, we can isolate just, hold down Shift, turn the eyeball off. We have our fishnets, and then we can turn this one back on. And with these two showing, I can go down here to project all, and then it'll project our fishnets onto that low-res shirt. Or get rid of that low-res shirt, turn on your high-res shirt. That's probably a better idea. And now do I project all? So now we have nice fishnets projected. Now we do have a border we can add along there. So we can take our original low-res shirt here, and we can say, let's go to extrude polygroup all. We can pull out a little polygroup here, and then that's going to give us a little border polygroup. So now at this point, we can hold down Control Shift. I'm going to take this polygroup here, Control Shift drag to invert, take this polygroup here, geometry modify topology, delete hidden, and then just run an extrude polygroup all on these ones. And now we have like a little border mesh that'll encapsulate. And again, if we want to push along those surface normals, if we want to go like, you know what, I want you to be, oops, extrude polygroup all, that's doing both sides. So when I start bringing this out, I'm going to tap Alt, and that'll give me ensure that I have different polygroups on both sides. I hope extrude polygroup all. It's still going to do both sides. Well, there's a couple different ways we can make this work for us. Number one, we can do extrude polygroup island, and then just hold down Shift, and then you can do one side at a time if you want to even those out. And again, the reason we're doing this is it's like I want to pull this side in, and I want to push this side in as well. Just kind of moving along those surface normals. But now, of course, I've got to do that on both. There we go. So now we've got the border, and now we've got the fishnets here. Now I want to give these fishnets thickness. You can do an extract to get thickness if you want to. You can also just go in here to ZModeler. Oh, you know what? Some of these didn't weld together. Weld points. There we go. Let's do weld points, distance of 10. You kind of want to make sure you weld these things before you move them so you don't run into any problems, but let's do another extrude. Let's do all polygons here, and then you can just make these as thick as you want to. And again, you can push them along their borders. And now we have fishnets. Again, at this point, you can also go through here and you can do a deformation, inflate. If you want to inflate along their surface normal, give those a little bit more robust. So inflate. You could also type in like 0.5 and inflate if you can get very accurate with these numbers. So anyway, and then we can hit Control D if you want to subdivide, and let's do an uncrease all, so it gives us a nice round subdivision here. So there we got the fishnet.